Hi, this is JT Romuto. Welcome to the Phillies Show.
Ruben Amaro Jr., Jim Salisbury, Todd Zalecki. It's the Phillies Show. It's Friday, June 6th, 2025. Guys, the Phillies have lost 6 out of their last 7 games. They lost a 2-1 nail-biter on Wednesday. Mick Abel pitches well, though. And then Thursday, series finale, Jesús Luzardo. I don't know what's going on, guys. How are you guys doing, first of all? Second of all, I mean, Ruben, you were in the booth. Are you watching that going, what is going on right now?
Yes, that's exactly. I'm looking over at Tom like the entire time, like, oh my God.
Crazy.
It is amazing. And the interesting thing about it is, I mean, it's happening early in the at-bats. It's early and often. It is barrel contact, like hard contact. And it's happening like almost on every fastball. And then the other pitches that he's getting whacked around on. He's left some, breaking stuff and some change-ups up in the zone. But I was talking to some guys yesterday about it, and like, he's a sinker ball pitcher. Like, he's got really, really good movement typically. And his fastball right now seems really sort of flat. I mean, it's 97, but it doesn't have like the action on it at the plate than it has had in the early part of the season. And they're getting good looks. For the life of me, I cannot believe how good the swings are against him over the last 2 outings, and everything's on the barrel. And it just strikes to me that they're picking something up that they know every pitch is coming, or many of them. And he might be tipping them. Either that or something's happened in his delivery that's allowing him to be a little bit flatter with his stuff overall. And it's just staying in the zone too long and doesn't have the same sort of life at the zone such that it takes it off the barrel. I mean, I'd have to go back and look at tapes to see what's going on. I'm sure that Caleb Cotham and Rob Thompson and so many others are doing that right now. And I'm sure that the player himself is going, what in the hell is going on too? And it sounded like after the post-game interviews, that's exactly where he was.
Right. It's been incredible. I cannot think of another situation where we've seen a pitcher on course for the All-Star game, and maybe to start the All-Star game, and then to absolutely, it's like a bungee jump. He's just fallen. And it really does look like they, at least in Toronto, it looked like they knew what was coming. I mean, Bichette sold out on that swing. He looked like he knew what was coming. I tend to think we always talk now about tipping pitches, and I think it's a lot rarer. It's a lot more rare than people think, but we always say it. It's like, you get almost tired of hearing it. But something's amiss. He has eclipsed his innings totals from last year. Maybe that's affecting his finish and that last little bit of life. But hitters look awfully comfortable on this guy. And when hitters start seeing guys squaring it up consistently over and over, they all get confidence. That confidence ripples through a bat rack. And, they saw it the previous start in Philadelphia. These guys pay attention. And then in this start in Toronto. Personally, I think the hitters look super comfortable, and I think you start there. Moving the feet. You got to crowd them, come up and in. You got to put something in the back of these hitters' heads that you're not going to get too comfortable against me, because hitting, you have to be comfortable to hit. And if you can upset that level of comfort, you can have more success as a pitcher. Something's got to be done there as they dig into this and find out what is going on.
Jesús Luzardo in his first 11 starts, 16 earned runs in 67 innings. Last 2 starts, 20 earned runs and 5 2/3 innings. 2.15 ERA last Friday. When we recorded our episode last Friday, the Rhys Hoskins episode, he had a 2.15 ERA. Now it's 4.46. first pitcher in baseball history to allow 20 earned runs in fewer than 6 innings in a span of 2 starts. Now, Jim, you mentioned you haven't seen something like this. A guy go from Cy Young candidate, NL All-Star starter to have 2 starts like this. I went back and I looked at the last time the Phillies pitchers that have allowed 8 or more runs, because he allowed 8 on Thursday against Toronto. The last Phillies pitchers to allow 8+ runs in consecutive starts. And I thought this list was kind of interesting. So the last Phillies pitcher to do it was Aaron Nola in June of 2016. Now, you remember Aaron Nola in 2016. A month later, he went on the injured list with bad elbow and did not pitch the rest of the season. So that was Aaron Nola, bad elbow. The last pitcher before that was Roy Halladay, May of 2013.
Yeah, well, he was.
You remember now he made those 2 starts. He went on the injured list, had right shoulder surgery. The last pitcher before that was Adam Eaton in July of 2008. Those were the last 2 starts he ever made for the Phillies. He made 2 relief appearances after that and then never pitched for the Phillies again. So those were the last 3 Phillies pitchers to have back-to-back performances like this. And all 3 of those guys, Nola elbow, Halladay shoulder, Adam Eaton, he was probably just washed up at that point. I mean,
well, health is the first thing we think of when we see a guy have 2 starts like Luzardo. Okay,
Right.
There's an injury. Is he healthy? But the big telltale on health is velo, and he was humping 98 yesterday. So, what gives?
Yeah, I mean, it could be a health issue. I don't think it is. I don't think he's complained about it. I don't think he's talked about it. I don't think that, and just having just looked at the stuff, the ball coming out of his hand now, it's a little flatter, but it's still stuff. And, obviously there's something going on. He knows he needs to fix it. He knows he needs to fix it fast, because, he needs, he's a competitive kid, man. I mean, this kid wants to do well. He's a great kid. We've gotten a chance to chat with him. And, he has a high expectation of himself. He changed things up by going with the cornrows, to try to, because he's a very superstitious kid as well. So, it's mind-boggling. There's something going on. They'll figure it out. The Phillies are smart. The kid is a smart kid. He's an athletic kid, and if there's adjustment needs to be made, he'll figure it out. But something does need to get figured out, because it's not sustainable if it, obviously not sustainable if he continues to pitch like that. And it really does put a little chink in the armor there as far as the overall quality of that starting rotation.
No question.
That's
the foundation of this team is that starting staff.
Yeah,
now
now
you got the world's longest sprained ankle, and you got Wheeler attending to his family, which is fine. But you don't have a hitter doesn't have his base, his foundation. He's got nothing. This team doesn't have its starting rotation, its foundation. It's in big trouble.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Last Phillies pitcher to allow 20 runs or more in consecutive appearances was Dutch Schlessler in 1931. A couple of relief appearances, believe it or not. Back in the day, these guys would come in the 3rd inning and pitch 8 innings or 7 innings, 6 innings in an extra inning game. Last Phillies pitcher to allow 20 runs or more in consecutive starts, Ray Bengi in 1930. So, I mean, we haven't seen something like this, 20 runs or more in consecutive starts by the Phillies pitcher in almost 100 years, which is, you think of, think of all the guys that have pitched in 100 years, and Jesus Luzardo, Ray Bengi.
And the bullpen had to suck up all those innings.
Yeah.
On Thursday,
and now that's after this evening, they have to have a bullpen game with Joe Ross starting, and that's problematic.
Yep.
All this starting pitching depth we've been talking about for the last 2 weeks. Now they have a freaking bullpen game.
Exactly right. Hey guys, this weekend the Phillies are in Pittsburgh, but if you're looking for something to do, swing by my neck of the woods Swing by Delco. People say Delco is a lot, and they're right. We've got a lot of everything. Family fun, festivals, great restaurants and bars, gardens, history, trails, and outdoor activities. Take it from me, Delco Dad, and check it out for yourself. So this Saturday is the 7th annual Havertown Irish Festival. Takes place at 50 East Eagle Road in Havertown from noon to 8 p.m. Enjoy live music, Irish dancers, crafts, and a kids fun zone, because you got to have something for the kids. And then Sunday, check out the Sports Legends of Delaware County Museum presents the Delco League Baseball Open House and book signing. That's Sunday, again, from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Radnor Township Municipal Building in Wayne. Check out all the baseball memorabilia they've got there. You can get a copy of Rich Pagano's book, Delaware County Sports Legends. Find a full list of events at visitdelco.com. They say Delco's a lot, and they're right.
You guys are a lot.
We are.
Delco guys.
I want to give a shout out to one of my good buddies, Ed Crowley, listening to the pod in Dunedin, Florida. And of course, he runs Delco's Cheesesteaks there on Main Street in Dunedin. Awesome.
Delco's, yeah, and yeah. That, and they're right behind home plate at Baycare Ballpark as well.
That's right.
He told me a great story that Fred McGriff apparently comes in there all the time and nobody recognizes him.
Is that right?
I hung out with Fred McGriff at a bar in Atlanta one time. He stood in the corner and no one knew who he was.
The guy had 496 home runs, one of the great gentlemen of the game, great player, and he comes in and gets his cheesesteak and walks out the door. I would have him autograph the cheesesteak.
Yeah, it's gonna get that autograph for sure, man. Well, we were talking. Go ahead, Ruben.
Yeah, we were talking a little bit about their pitching, but the offense is the issue that I'm
Nada.
a little concerned about. What do you think, Tom?
Well, Ruben, I wanted to ask you this, and Jim as well, and the offense is absolutely. I think that they scored 6 runs in the first game of that series. The Blue Jays,
they shut it down.
They scored 4 runs in the final. Let's do the math. 26 innings. Thanks, Jim. 4 runs in the final 26 innings. And I want to ask you guys about the leadoff hitter right now, Bryson Stott. This is a guy that we've talked about. Can be a 300 hitter. We have talked about him. He would make a lot of sense in the leadoff spot. They've won a lot of games since he moved in the leadoff spot in mid-April. But since May 1st, Bryson Stott is batting 196, 2 home runs, 11 RBIs, 518 OPS. He has a 250 on base percentage in that span. And I'm wondering, do we start talking about making a change in the leadoff spot? I mean, he sees a lot of pitches, which is great, but you also at some point have to have some production up there. And he's been scuffling for more than a month now.
Yeah, I've been an advocate of him being in the one hole forever, and I really think that he has the tools to do it. But he's going through a month-long slump right now that has hurt him. I mean, it's amazing that they did so well in May, just in general, without any real production from him. Again, I still have some confidence that he can, bounce back. But if in the next week or 10 days or whatever, he doesn't get going, then I'll just go ahead and slide Turner up there and let him roll. With the way Turner's been swinging the bat, he's been using the whole field. I'm a little shocked that Bryson has not continued to develop, because I think he still has those tools and those abilities and bat the ball skills and the base running ability, but they're seeking wins, and they need to do that with production, and they're not getting it right now. I would stay with them for another couple of weeks and see how that goes, and continue that sort of platoon against lefties and righties. But he has not come through lately. I think he's much better than he's shown in this past month, but he also has to get it done, because it's a production business. And if you're not getting the production done, then it becomes very, very difficult to win baseball games.
I would not stick with him for a couple more weeks. I would do something this weekend. I mean, I'm a patience guy. I think patience is very, very valuable virtue in baseball. I think it's needed. It's just because of the nature of the sport. Every day there's ups, there's downs. A lot can be dictated by the guy on the mound that night, and sometimes you just tip your hat. And but as much as I would advocate for some patience, I do think there's a time when the manager says this ain't good enough, and shake things up. And Trey Turner is getting on base. He's using the whole field. He's figuring out ways to get on first base, which is, to me, the job of a leadoff man. I think, I'm not saying I would sit Stott, but I would shake that lineup up, get Turner up top, move Stott down. Like I said, this ain't good enough. And they've had a tough little stretch here. This is about the time last year. It's exactly the time last year when they went into a tough stretch. I think you need to nip it, and I think you need to send a little message. And it won't. I don't think it'll hurt.
More on Stott.
Valid point.
Yeah, more on Stott right after these words.
FT fan by now, if you're buying, selling, trading, collecting cards, Arena Club is the spot. We've been talking about them all season long, but I do want to focus on the slab pack experience, Kratz, since you've been ripping some slab packs digitally. And what happens?
I mean, as a kid, you wanted to rip open the packs. How can they do this digitally? Oh, baby. This is exciting. How the graphics come out and everything. And, oh, yeah, the card that you pull, you can actually get that, John, physically. So it's perfect. It's all in one place, and it's a super exciting experience.
Yeah, they send that to you from the vault if you want it. But if you look at it and you're like, it's not the card for me, I want to sell back, go for it. You can do any of that on Arena Club, and you can acquire the best value for your money with those slab packs, transparent checklists, and Arena Club's Slab Safe program. Right now, you can get 20% off your first slab pack or card purchase by going to arenaclub.com/foul and use code FOUL. arenaclub.com/foul, use code FOUL.
So Stott, first month of the season, I was trying to see if there's anything kind of cooking in the numbers. And Stott, first month, April through the end of April, was batting .368 off of fastballs. In May, he batted .214 off of fastballs.
And last year, he didn't hit fastballs.
Yeah, last year he didn't hit fastballs. Now, it's interesting. So the expected numbers, right? The expected batting average, that's basically just what they expect you to hit based off of exit velocity, launch angle, and those types of things. Expected numbers off the fastball in April was .287. Expected off the fastball in May was .297. So if you wanted to, you could say maybe he's run into some bad luck in May. Some balls didn't find holes, or he hit them right at guys, and maybe there's certainly something to that. But there's been some at bats recently that certainly could have been a lot better, I guess. So just wanted to throw that out there in terms of Bryson Stott as this offense continues to struggle.
So the offense in the last two games, they went 5 for 31 in each game, 10 for 62.
Wow.
10 for 62. I think those are the right numbers. I'm not big numbers guys, but that's pretty much, I mean, you're not getting it done with 10 for 62 with this kind of lineup. And, they faced some decent pitching. Those guys are,
yeah,
but they have to be able to hit good pitching. And that's part of being a good ball club. And it starts to strike. This is a good test because they're going to face Skeens again in Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
And see how they handle him again. I mean, Skeens pitched brilliantly against him last time, and he's a brilliant pitcher. But they're going to have to make some adjustments. They got some other guys they got to face, and there's some good pitching. They have to make adjustments and do some damage against those guys too. So I am concerned about this offense because it's not rolling the way you would expect it to roll right now. And this was a good test after playing those poor teams and some of those really bad bullpens. Now they're playing some a little bit better teams, and they're not producing. And so there should be some level of concern, and I'm sure there is. That front office and the people in the coaching staff, I'm sure that they're thinking, okay, why are we not playing better baseball? Let's kick it in gear a little bit. And they're gonna have to, do that. They're gonna have to gear up and make some adjustments and perhaps make some changes, because in the back part of that lineup right now, it's almost dead water, and they're not doing a whole lot. it's not happening at the back end of that lineup after Castellanos right now, who's been really consistent. You got to give some love to the guy because he's been one of their most consistent hitters. He's hitting close to 300 if not 300. And beyond that, they're getting nothing, like literally almost nothing. And they need to have some more production from the back end of that lineup because it's been light, super light.
Left field.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Left field, center fielding. No, left field, center fielding catcher, not get much. Go ahead, Tom.
Yeah, Max Kepler in the last month is batting 168. So, and that's not, well, he's faced a lot of lefties in that time. It's almost exclusively against right-handed pitching, which he came here to kind of like blow up, and that hasn't happened. So yeah, no doubt the offense, they need to get it going. This kind of plays into the whole, well, who did they beat a couple weeks ago? They beat all these bad teams, and so now
the narrative becomes a reality if these guys don't start playing the game the way that they're expected to play.
Right. Were you guys, so Taijuan Walker came in Thursday, and pitched an inning in relief, and everybody's like, all right, we're going to see how his stuff jumps. It's going to jump, and we're going to give him a look as a late inning guy, and I want to see what he does in one inning. Well, he comes out, and I think the fastball topped out at 93. To me, that was a little disappointing. Just one appearance. I guess Rob Thompson said after the game that, Taijuan didn't necessarily have maybe the time that he needed to properly warm up. But I'm just mentioning it because this is something that so hopefully then next time, if that's the case, he gets enough warm-ups and he comes out and he starts throwing a little bit harder, because I think everybody's hoping that the stuff plays up because they need him to help this bullpen out.
So I stated this in the broadcast, and I think this is somewhat true. And won't really know exactly where he is until he's pitching in a situation where the game's on the line and the adrenaline's flowing. Okay. It's 8-0. Yeah. The game meant absolutely nothing at that point. They were not going to win the game unless some miracle like that what happened in Atlanta yesterday was going to happen, which is rare. That's crazy. We can talk about that a little bit more, what's going on with some of these games. But the reality of it is that when you have an adrenaline rush out of that bullpen and you have to get 3 outs to win the game or to keep the game in hand, there's a totally different feel than going into an 8-0 game for the first time you're coming out of the bullpen. I'm sure he's going, I know I have to do this, but this is like a spring training game for me. Totally. And so that's a totally different for a veteran guy who's been a starter pretty much his whole career. Now he's and deserves sort of to stay in the starting rotation. Now he's relegated to the bullpen. He's supposed to be pitching in important innings, and he's coming in an 8-0 game. I know why he did it. I know why Rob did it. He had to get him the feel of coming out of the bullpen and getting ready and pitching in one inning. But I think it's going to be a little bit different. I mean, he did his job, got his 3 outs, but it's going to be different when it's time for him to try to lock down a game or to keep a game in hand. And I'm interested in that situation much more than the one that he just came in on.
Totally agree. There was no adrenaline there. It was mop up. It was like the night Joe Girardi had to get on the phone with Nick Pivetta and try to convince him to come into that game years ago.
Yep.
So I don't think that's an accurate judge, but I've always said I don't know how the stuff is going to play out in the bullpen. I don't know if 92 or 3 is going to play out there unless you're really precise, unless that breaking ball is really good, unless that split is dancing, and I just don't know how it's going to work out there. We're not talking about, a young kid like a Mick Abel. He's had this little tick in velocity since he's come up. Stuff is playing a little harder. I guess it's adrenaline and whatnot. But I think a young kid, you put him out in the bullpen, you might get a little bit more on the fastball in a short spurt. A guy with all those innings, plus, over 30 years old, I don't know that there's going to be a huge tick up in stuff. But I guess we're going to find out. But it's tough to find out in a mop-up situation because I'm sure he was thinking, I got to go into this thing,
Jim, on on Wednesday when we were taking listener questions, viewer questions.
Nobody reads anymore.
Yeah, no one reads anymore. Well, on their phone they do. I do. We were talking about Mick Abel, and you said, "Man, at some point he keeps doing this. I'm going to not be thinking about who the Phillies might be able to get for Mick Abel. I'm going to be thinking about how he can help the Phillies in a role down the stretch." And man, what you see him pitch on Wednesday night, and you're going, maybe they got to hold on to this guy.
Oh yeah, it's funny. I could see he kind of lost his mechanics, and I think it was the 6th inning. You could start.
Yeah, he did.
Kind of pull the ball a little bit,
Yeah.
But but my point was, last year he couldn't throw strikes. You're like, and then over the winter you're thinking, well, maybe they can get something for him. Or last year at the deadline, maybe they can get something for him. Now I'm starting to, when you drive up 95 and you get to like Center City, and you start to see the Ben Franklin Bridge, and you see those 2 humongo granite pillars on which the Ben Franklin Bridge springs from. I'm thinking Painter and Abel. I don't know that I want to do anything.
Some of those teams that didn't want to trade for Abel because of his stock last year are kicking themselves.
Yeah.
I guarantee you right now, the A's or the St. Louis Cardinals or some other teams are going, God, we could have gotten a damn good pitcher last year and maybe even a really good third baseman.
Yeah.
Because this kid has developed really nicely so far. The proof is still in the pudding. He still has to continue to pitch and do it for a long time. But from what I've seen as far as his poise and the way he's handled himself and his focus, I've been super impressed by what he's done. And yeah, you're right about that. He hit a little bit of a wall in the 6th inning, went into the stretch and sort of started struggling, and his mechanics got away from him a little bit. But they did a good job of getting him out of there. But they didn't give him a whole lot of offensive support, sadly. And they didn't give him any defensive support.
And in no way, you're right about the defense. That ball's got to be caught.
The ball in center field has to be caught.
Has to be caught. You need a guy who can put stuff away. Those are not errors, but they're plays that a sharp team makes. But with Abel, I'm not suggesting he's anywhere near a finished product. There's going to be a night when he gets his nose bloodied. And honestly,
I'm interested to see how he bounces back from that too, Jim. That's the big one.
It'll be good for him.
Yes.
And how he bounces back, and it becomes a growth moment. But right now, and I'm not just saying this about the 2 starts he's had in the big leagues. I'm saying about that little body of work over the first 2 months in AAA. Threw more strikes, seems more comfortable in his own skin, seems more confident, letting that talent kind of bubble to the surface. You just really have to like what you see, and the potential that Brian Barber and all his guys saw. They saw it for a reason, and he's still a very, very young man. So, I'm just thinking about what he might become with Painter at the top, and who knows? It's a fickle game, but kind of like the possibility of those 2 young men as twin studs. But we'll see how things develop.
Yeah, that's what everybody was talking about.
Hey, I wanted to go back a little bit, Todd, and talk about the bullpen, because I saw a couple of guys. We talked about who can they acquire. Is the guy from closer from Tampa Bay, the couple of Mason Miller and all those other guys. Well, I saw a left-hander in Toronto, in Brandon Little, the kid from Bryn Mawr, who was lights out. You want somebody to replace Alvarado? Holy smokes! This guy's quote-unquote knuckle curve, it's really a slider, is filthy, and it's nasty. And he's been outstanding in the last couple of that's 6 weeks or so. He's been lights out. Really impressive with what I've seen from him. I mean, that's the sort of under-the-radar type of arm that they are probably trying to pursue right now, to give them a little bit of depth in that bullpen, to give Matt Strahm and Tanner Banks an extra left-handed arm to help them, or even a right-handed arm. Doesn't matter which one. But that's the type of pitcher I think that would be interesting to try to acquire. I don't know what's going to take to get him.
Why would the Jays
Toronto
trade
wants
him?
to win.
The Jays are in
I'm
it.
just saying. I'm just saying. I don't think the Jays.
Right?
I don't think the Jays will trade him. I'm just saying. I mean,
That's
sort of a veteran guy right now because he's 28, 29 years old. He hasn't pitched a lot in the big leagues, but that's the type of player that you sort of want to see. That somebody who is sort of under the radar, but can have real effective stuff to get outs, important outs in the back end there.
So this weekend, Phillies in Pittsburgh. Ruben, you got quite the view. You must have the VIP suite behind you.
The GM
suite. I do not have a suite. I do not have a suite. Let me start with that one. I used to have a suite. I used to have suites when I was an assistant GM and a GM traveling.
When you were sweet.
Yeah, when I was much sweeter. But this is the U.S. Steel building. It's a beautiful building back there, and it's actually I like Pittsburgh a lot. I love their ballpark. It's always been in the top 5 for me.
Yep.
And looking forward to it. The weather's not great. I think we're going to get through these first 2 games okay, dancing in the rain a little bit, but they got to do a little damage against the old Pittsburgh Pirates because that's an abysmal offense. I mean, abysmal. I'm talking about an abysmal offense, and they need to do some damage against it. Their pitching's okay, and that'll be a good test for these guys offensively. They got to do some damage here.
So maybe they can muddle through this bullpen game on Friday night. Joe Ross is going to start. I guess he's going to go 2+ innings. That's the plan anyway. And
hopefully.
They're going to, hopefully he's going to go two innings, maybe 2+ innings if he can get through that lineup. Facing former Phillies lefty Bailey Falter. Saturday
he's been throwing well.
Yeah, he has been. You think about how his Phillies career ended
when he was terrible last year, but he's bounced back.
Yeah, but he's bounced back. So, and then Saturday it's Ranger Suarez versus Andrew Haney, and then Sunday is Christopher Sanchez versus Paul Skeens. So,
hey Ruben, you got a beautiful view of the U.S. Steel building, but you got nothing on me. I got a beautiful view of the Chester County Prison.
Jim is doing this from his warden suite.
Are you the warden or is Ann the warden?
I'm just an inmate.
I understand. Oh, I get it.
Well, guys, Ruben, enjoy the weekend in Pittsburgh, and we will be back on Monday.
Smell you later, boys.
Smell you, Jim.
The Philly Show is brought to you by the Foul Territory Network. Subscribe to The Philly Show on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. If you like us, give us a review. Follow us on Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook, and Threads. Find Ruben's analysis before, during, and after Phillies games on NBC Sports Philadelphia, on the Sports Radio 94 WIP Morning Show, and MLB Network. Find Jim at allphly.com. Find me at MLB.com, the Phillies Beat newsletter, and MLB Network.